My name is Leslie Young. I am 25 years old. It was Christmas Eve last year, and the snow was falling softly outside our family home in Rochester, New York, blanketing the neighborhood in that quiet, festive hush. I'd driven up from my apartment downtown, arms loaded with carefully wrapped gifts and a homemade apple pie I'd baked that morning, hoping for. Once we'd have a peaceful holiday. The living room was decked out with twinkling lights on the tree, the smell of roasting turkey wafting from the kitchen, and relatives milling about with glasses of mulled wine. My older sister Lori was there with her husband and their two kids, chatting animatedly with everyone while my dad hovered in the background, trying to keep things smooth as always. But the moment I stepped through the door, my mom zeroed in on me like a hawk spotting prey. She was at the head of the dining table already, halfway through her second glass, her face flushed, not just from the drink, but from that simmering resentment she always seemed to save for me. Leslie finally decided to grace us with your presence. My mom said, her voice cutting through the chatter like a knife. She didn't even wait for me to take off my coat. What, too busy with your little job to help set up? Lori's been here since noon, slaving away in the kitchen while what, slept in. The room went quiet, aunts and uncles exchanging awkward glances, the kids pausing their game on the floor. I felt my cheeks burn, but I tried to brush it off with a smile, setting the pie down. Mom, I got here as soon as I could. Traffic was bad with the snow. But she wasn't done. She snatched up one of the gifts. I'd brought, a model train set for my nephew that I'd saved up for weeks to buy, and shook it dismissively. This is what you think is enough cheap junk while Lori's spoiling everyone with real presents. You're 24. Leslie, act like it. Stop being so selfish. Then, in a move that shocked even me, she grabbed her wine glass and flung the contents right at me, the red liquid splashing across my sweater, dripping down my face. The kids gasped, my niece starting to cry, and Lori just stood there, smirking a little as if this was justified. I stood there, frozen wine soaking into my clothes, the sting of it mixing with the humiliation burning in my chest. It wasn't the first time my mom had lashed out like this, but in front of everyone. On Christmas, I wiped my face with my sleeve, fighting back tears while my dad muttered something about calming down. But my mom just laughed bitterly, pointing at me. Look at you, always the victim. If you'd pull your weight like your sister, maybe we wouldn't have to beg for help all the time. The relatives started gathering their things to leave, murmuring excuses, and I realized then how deep her contempt ran, how she'd always seen me as the lesser child, the one who could never measure up to Lori. That night, as I drove home alone, the wine stain setting into my car seat, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the breaking point. Have any of you ever had a mom who just seemed to hate you for existing? What would you have done in that moment? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious if I'm alone in this. Growing up in Rochester, our family looked picture perfect from the outside. We lived in a cozy two-story house in a suburban neighborhood, the kind with picket fences and annual block parties. My dad worked as an electrician, always fixing things around the house, or for neighbors, quiet and steady, the type who avoided conflict at all costs. My mom was a part-time bookkeeper at a local accounting firm, but she acted like she ran the world, especially when it came to us kids. Lori, being the oldest by 5 years, was her golden child from day one. Lori got the new clothes, the praise for straight A's, the car on her 16th birthday. Me, I was the afterthought, the one who had to make do with hand-me-downs and constant comparisons. Why can't you be more like your sister? Was my mom's favorite refrain, starting when I was little. I remember one childhood incident that set the tone. I was about 8, and we'd gone to the Rochester Lilac Festival, that big spring event with flowers everywhere and carnival rides. Lori wanted to go on the Ferris wheel, so my mom dragged us all there, even though I was terrified of heights. When I hesitated at the gate crying that I didn't want to go, my mom yanked my arm hard enough to leave a bruise. Stop being such a baby, Leslie. Lori's excited, don't ruin it for her. She forced me onto the ride, and I spent the whole time sobbing while she cooed over Lori's bravery. Later at home, when I showed my dad the mark on my arm, my mom dismissed it. She's exaggerating as usual. If she wasn't so dramatic, these things wouldn't happen. My dad just sighed and told me to let it go, enabling her like he always did. That pattern repeated over the years: my mom's favoritism toward Lori, her quick temper aimed at me, and the way she'd twist things to make me the problem. By high school, it got worse. Lori was the star athlete and homecoming queen, while I was the quiet one who liked reading and art classes. My mom would drag me to Lori's games, forcing me to cheer, but if I had a school event like a play I was in, she'd forget or complain about the drive. Lori's got a scholarship riding on her sports. What are you doing that's so important? She'd say. Money was always tight, or so she claimed, but somehow Lori got extras, dance lessons, a prom dress that cost a fortune. When I asked for art supplies, my mom scoffed. Earn it yourself if you want luxuries. So I got a part-time job at a coffee shop at 15, saving every penny while Lori lounged around. My dad tried to balance it, sometimes slipping me a 20 here and there, but he never stood up to my mom. She's just stressed, he'd whisper, but I knew it was more than that. She resented me like I was a burden she never wanted. After high school, Lori went to community college on a partial scholarship, partying more than studying, while I worked my way through an online program to become a customer success rep at a small tech company in Rochester. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and I loved helping clients solve problems. By 22, I'd moved into my own tiny apartment downtown near the Genesee River, with its views of the city lights. I thought distance would help, but my mom found new ways to dig in. She'd call constantly, demanding I come over to help with chores or errands, always framing it as me owing her. "After all I've done for you," she'd say, ignoring how little that all was. Lori, meanwhile, had married her high school boyfriend, had 2 kids, and was living rent-free in our parents' basement while figuring things out. My mom babysat for her, cooked for her family, but if I needed anything like advice after a rough day at work, she'd brush me off. "Handle it yourself. You're an adult now." The favoritism hit a new low when our grandma passed away 3 years ago. Grandma had left a small inheritance, about $20,000 split between the family. But my mom controlled the distribution as executor, and she funneled most of it to Lori for starting a family. I got a measly $2,000, with my mom claiming I didn't need it since I had a job. "Lori's got kids to think about. What do you have, a cat?" She sneered when I questioned it. That hurt, but I let it go, not wanting to rock the boat. My dad apologized privately, saying my mom was grieving, but I saw the pattern she always chose. Lori always diminished me. It made me feel invisible, like I was never good enough no matter what I achieved. I'd lie awake nights wondering why my own mom seemed to hate me so much, replaying every slight, every cutting word. Things escalated in my early 20s when Lori's family started having financial troubles. Her husband lost his job at a factory, and they racked up debt: credit cards, home repairs, you name it. Instead of making them budget, my mom turned to me. "Leslie, you make good money now. Help your sister out," she'd demand during our weekly calls. At first, I did, sending a few hundred here and there, thinking it was family, but it never stopped. One spring, she called hysterical. "Lori's roof is leaking. It's $12,000 to fix. You have to contribute." When I said I couldn't afford that much, she exploded. "Selfish just like always, Lori would do it for you." Guilt-tripped, I dipped into my savings, transferring $5,000, but it left me scraping by for months, skipping meals to make rent. That pattern wore me down. My job as a customer success rep involved long hours troubleshooting software issues for clients, and the stress from home started bleeding into work. I'd snap at colleagues, or miss deadlines, my mind replaying my mom's insults. My relationships suffered too. I dated a guy named Alex for a bit, but he got tired of my constant family drama. "Your mom treats you like crap. Why do you keep going back?" he'd ask. I didn't have an answer except that she was my mom, and I kept hoping she'd change. Health-wise, it took a toll: anxiety attacks that left me breathless, sleepless nights. I started therapy last year, my counselor pointing out the toxic dynamic, but cutting ties felt impossible. Until that Christmas Eve. After the wine incident, I didn't go back for Christmas Day. My phone blew up with texts from my mom. How dare you ruin the holiday, come apologize. No remorse for what she'd done, just blame. Lori chimed in, too, echoing her, Mom's upset. You know how she gets. My dad sent a weak, let's talk, but nothing from him confronting her. I spent the day alone in my apartment, eating takeout and crying, but something shifted. For the first time, I documented everything: photos of my stained clothes, screenshots of the texts. My therapist had suggested keeping records, and it felt empowering, like proof I wasn't crazy. A few days later, I got a call from my aunt, my dad's sister, who'd been at the dinner. Leslie, your mom's been bad-mouthing you to everyone, saying you're ungrateful. But I saw what happened. That wasn't right. Her support cracked the dam. I confided about the years of favoritism, the money demands. She suggested I check my finances, mentioning how my mom had helped Lori with accounts before. Alarmed, I logged into my bank app that night. What I found chilled me: suspicious logins from devices I didn't recognize, small transfers adding up over months, totaling about $3,000 siphoned to an account linked to Lori. My heart raced. How had this happened? Digging deeper, I remembered giving my mom access to an old joint savings account from when I was a teen for emergencies. She'd used it to forge transfers, claiming later it was family help. When I confronted her over the phone, she didn't deny it. You owe us, Leslie. Lori needs it more. Her voice was cold, no apology, just entitlement. Lori piled on in a group text, Stop being dramatic. It's not like you're broke. That was it. Their casual dismissal lit a fire in me. I changed all my passwords, closed the joint account, and contacted a lawyer friend for advice on protecting myself. The escalation came fast. My mom started showing up at my apartment building, banging on the door, demanding I fix this family mess. One time in the lobby, she screamed at me in front of neighbors. You're nothing without us, Lori's the successful one. You're just jealous. It was humiliating, her words echoing off the walls, but I held firm, telling her to leave or I'd call the police. She laughed it off, but I followed through next time, getting a restraining order. Lori tried guilting me. Mom's health is suffering because of you. But I saw through it. They were losing their free ride. The escalation didn't stop with the restraining order. My mom found ways to skirt it, using Lori as her proxy. A week after I filed, Lori showed up at my work, a small tech firm in downtown Rochester, where I handled client accounts for software troubleshooting. She waited in the lobby, all smiles for the receptionist, but when I came down, her face hardened. Leslie, we need to talk. Mom's a mess because of you, crying all the time, saying her heart's acting up. I kept my distance, arms crossed, remembering my lawyer's advice not to engage. Lori, you can't be here. This is my job. But she pressed on, her voice rising just enough to draw stares from coworkers passing by. You're killing her, you know that, all because you won't share what you have. Mom says you've got savings, help us out, or she'll end up in the hospital. It was classic manipulation, tying her health to my wallet, but hearing it in the fluorescent-lit lobby made my stomach twist. I asked security to escort her out, but not before she yelled, "Selfish bitch," loud enough for the whole floor to hear. That incident rattled me. My boss pulled me aside later, concerned about personal drama spilling over, and I had to explain the family situation without breaking down. It affected my performance. I mixed up client files that afternoon, leading to a complaint. At home that night, in my cozy apartment overlooking the river, I pored over my bank statements again, my cat curling up beside me for comfort. That's when I spotted more discrepancies, logins from my parents' address transfers I'd missed, before adding up to another $2,000 gone over the past year. My mom had been dipping in deeper than I thought, probably using my old passwords she'd wheedled out of me during helpful visits. Furious, I called my dad, hoping he'd finally step in. Dad, this has to stop. Mom's stealing from me. He sighed, his voice tired over the line. She's just trying to help Lori's family. Times are tough, kiddo. Can't you let it go? His enabling stung worse than the theft he knew, and he did nothing. The pressure mounted over the next month. My mom started a smear campaign calling relatives and mutual friends, painting me as the ungrateful daughter who'd abandoned her family. Aunt Clara, my dad's sister, forwarded me voicemails. Leslie's always been jealous of Lori. Now she's cut us off over nothing. It isolated me. Some cousins stopped replying to my texts, and at a family friend's birthday party I wasn't invited to. I heard through the grapevine that my mom had shown up tearfully recounting how I'd ruined Christmas. Lori amplified it on social media, subtle posts about toxic people and family first, with photos of her kids looking sad. One even tagged me, "Wish Auntie Leslie cared more." It was gaslighting at its finest, making me question if I was overreacting. My anxiety spiked. I'd wake up sweating from nightmares where my mom was screaming at me in public, her face twisted in that familiar contempt. Therapy helped me unpack it. My counselor, a kind woman in her 50s, pointed out the narcissism. Your mom sees you as an extension of herself, a resource to exploit, not a person with boundaries. We dove into why, maybe because I was the unplanned baby, or because Lori mirrored her ambitions while I forged my own path. But understanding didn't stop the harassment. My mom violated the restraining order twice, once leaving a note on my car windshield. "Come home or lose everything," and another time showing up at my grocery store, cornering me in the produce aisle. "You think a piece of paper stops family?" she hissed, grabbing a tomato like she might throw it. "Lori needs $10,000 for her husband's medical bills. Pay up or I'll make sure everyone knows what a monster you are." Shoppers stared, and I fled to my car shaking, calling the police from the parking lot. They warned her, but she played the victim. My own daughter hates me. The financial unraveling came next. With my lawyer's help, I froze all linked accounts and demanded an audit. What we uncovered was staggering. Over the years, my mom had forged my signature on loans totaling $35,000, using them to bail out Lori's debts, car payments, credit cards, even a down payment on a minivan. She'd listed me as a guarantor without my knowledge, tying my credit to their mess. My credit score had tanked, explaining why my recent apartment lease renewal came with higher rent. When confronted via a formal letter, my mom responded with a venomous email. "You owe me for raising you. Lori's the one building a legacy with kids. You're just wasting away alone. Pay it back or face the consequences." Lori followed up, calling from a blocked number. "Mom's right. You're nothing. We'll sue if we have to." It was a bluff, but it terrified me, imagining court battles draining my savings. Work suffered more. A big client complained about delayed responses, and my manager put me on a performance plan. "Leslie, sort out whatever's going on at home," she said kindly, but the warning was clear. My health deteriorated too. Migraines from the stress, weight loss from lost appetite. Alex, my ex, reached out after hearing rumors. "Your family's toxic. Get out." But cutting ties meant losing my dad, the only semi-stable link. He called one evening pleading, "Your mom's sorry deep down. Come to dinner Sunday, we'll talk." I almost caved, craving normalcy, but remembered the wine, the thefts, the endless demands. "No, Dad. Not until she stops." He hung up disappointed, and I cried myself to sleep. The breaking point hit in early spring as Rochester thawed from winter. I got a promotion at work, junior team lead, with a raise that could rebuild my savings. Excited, I shared it with Aunt Clara, who congratulated me. But somehow it got back to my mom. She ambushed me outside my building, one rainy afternoon, umbrella in hand like a weapon. "Heard about your fancy job," she sneered, stepping too close. "Time to share the wealth. Lori's house is flooding, 15,000 to fix. Write the check." When I refused, backing away, she grabbed my arm nails, digging in. "You ungrateful brat, I've always known you were a mistake. Lori's my real daughter. You're just a burden." Her words echoed in the drizzle, neighbors peeking from windows. Lori appeared from around the corner, phone out, recording. "See everyone, she's abandoning us." I wrenched free, heart pounding, and ran inside, bolting the door. That night, as sirens wailed in the distance from some unrelated call, I realized this couldn't continue. I'd documented the encounter on my phone's camera, adding to my evidence file. My lawyer advised pressing charges for assault and another violation. But as I sat in the dark rain pattering against the window, a deeper resolve formed. Tomorrow, I'd confront them all, lay out the fraud, the abuse, and demand they face the consequences. Little did I know the discoveries waiting in my financial deep dive would reveal even more betrayal, pushing me toward a decision that would shatter our family forever. The next morning, fueled by that rainy confrontation, I met with my lawyer, a sharp woman named Elena, who'd specialized in family disputes. We pored over my evidence folder in her office, overlooking the snowy streets of Rochester, photos of bruises from past grabs, screenshots of harassing texts, bank statements showing the forged loans. "This is elder abuse in reverse," Elena said, shaking her head. "But with the fraud, we can build a case for restitution and more." As we dug deeper into the financials, calling in a forensic accountant friend of hers, the full extent hit like a blizzard. Not only the $35,000 in loans, but my mom had accessed my old college fund, another $8,000 drained over 2 years, funneled to Lori for essentials like vacations and gadgets. The signatures, blatant forgeries with my mom's handwriting all over the applications. "She must have practiced," the accountant noted, comparing docs. My blood boiled, years of scrimping at my job, building a life while she treated my money like her personal ATM. Elena advised a cease and desist letter, first demanding repayment and an end to contact. But I knew my mom wouldn't back down. Her hatred ran too deep, rooted in whatever twisted view made me the scapegoat. We filed for a full audit and prepared charges for fraud and identity theft. That afternoon, as I left her office, my phone buzzed with a voicemail from my mom. "You think you can threaten me with lawyers? I've always known you were weak, Leslie. Lori's strong. She's the daughter I deserved. You'll regret this." Her voice dripped venom, confirming everything. Lori texted next. "Mom's right. We're family. Drop this, or we'll fight dirty." Their alliance was clear. My mom, the ringleader; Lori, her eager echo. The confrontation came 2 weeks later at a neutral spot, a coffee shop near Highland Park, under the guise of talking it out. Elena insisted I record it, hidden app running on my phone. My mom arrived first, striding in with that imperious air, Lori trailing like a shadow. My dad shuffled in behind, looking defeated. No hellos, just my mom slamming her purse down. "What the hell is this about lawyers, Leslie? You think you can drag us through court?" She leaned in, eyes narrowed in contempt. "You've always been the problem child, lazy, ungrateful. If you'd just help like a real daughter, we wouldn't be here." Lori nodded vigorously. "Yeah, Mom's sacrificed everything for us. You owe her." I stayed calm, sliding the audit report across the table. "This shows the fraud, Mom. 35,000 in loans, 8,000 from my college fund. Forged signatures. It's theft." Her face twisted in rage, the first to lash out as always. "Theft? That's family sharing. You don't need it. You're single, no kids. Lori's building something real." She jabbed a finger at me. "I should have never had you. You're a disappointment." My dad mumbled, "Honey, maybe we can pay it back." But she shut him down. "No, she's exaggerating, like when she cried over that stupid Ferris wheel." Lori piled on. "Exactly, Mom. Leslie's jealous because I'm the favorite." The barista glanced over customers, whispering. I laid out the terms: repay everything or face charges. My mom exploded, standing up. "You little bitch, I'll ruin you. Tell everyone what a monster you are." She grabbed her coffee like she might throw it, echoing that Christmas whine, but Lori pulled her back. They stormed out, my mom yelling over her shoulder, "This isn't over." It wasn't. The next day, my mom violated the order again, posting on social media a public rant tagging me. "My ungrateful daughter is suing her own mother. Help Lori's family, donate here." She'd linked a crowdfunding page for medical bills, painting me as the villain. Relatives messaged me, shocked. Friends unfollowed. Lori amplified it, sharing stories of my abandonment. But Elena was ready. We added defamation to the suit. I pressed charges for the fraud and the police investigated. What they found sealed it digital trails from my mom's computer emails to Lori plotting the forgeries. We'll split it 50-51 read. My mom was arrested at home, handcuffed in front of neighbors charged with identity theft and fraud. Lori was implicated as an accessory. Her crowdfunding shut down. The consequences hit hard. My mom's bookkeeping job fired. Her clients didn't want a fraudster handling finances. Their house already mortgaged to help Lori went into foreclosure when payments lapsed. My dad, devastated, filed for divorce after years of enabling. He moved in with Aunt Clara, apologizing to me in tearful calls. I should have protected you. Lori's husband left her, citing the drama, and she lost custody battles. When the fraud came out, judges saw her as unstable. Her job at a retail store canned her too, background checks failing. Bankruptcy followed for both. My mom declared, first losing savings. Lori soon after, her minivan repossessed, moving to a rundown apartment. They lost everything, their home, reputations, comforts, paying the price for years of exploitation. Court was brutal, but satisfying. In the Rochester courthouse under fluorescent lights, Elena presented the evidence: forgeries, recordings, audits. My mom on the stand tried playing victim. Leslie's always hated me, she claimed, but the judge saw through it. Guilty verdicts. My mom got probation, community service, and ordered to repay $20,000, the rest written off in bankruptcy. Lori, probation too, plus fines. The restraining order became permanent. As they left, my mom glared at me, whispering, "You'll die alone." But I felt free, the weight lifting. Healing started slowly. With the repayment trickling in from their meager assets, I rebuilt my credit, therapy helping unpack the trauma. You chose yourself, my counselor said, and it stuck. Work improved. The promotion led to leading a team, clients praising my focus. I dated again, meeting a kind guy named Ryan at a local art show. He understood boundaries, no drama. Friends rallied, Aunt Clara becoming like a second mom. I volunteered at a women's shelter, sharing my story to help others spot toxic families. Holidays, I hosted my own last Christmas with chosen family, Aunt Clara, Ryan, co-workers. No wine throwing, just laughter and peace. I've learned family isn't blood, it's respect. Love, boundaries. I won't let my mom or that side hurt me again. They're blocked, gone from my life. What would you do if your mom treated you like this? Share your stories in the comments. Maybe it'll help someone else break free.